got stone. I just got stone. We did a little wake and bake. Oh, I just got stone. Hello, beautiful soul. You're the golden riptide, got the strength to carry on. Walk on my child, walk on. Hello, beautiful soul family. Britt Cannon here, host of the Walk On Podcast, the podcast where I try to demystify spirituality, personal growth and healing, and whatever else I feel like talking about. This week's episode is called Aging Gracefully, and it's about how it's about how I know what it's about. I did it. It's about how the white supremacist capitalist heteropatriarchy, which is really my, idea of looking at the intersectional ways in which we are oppressed as like one big monster or program, if we're thinking of it in matrix reality computer terms. So that program values certain people based on how effectively they contribute to its perpetuity, right? It's like if you're young, if you're rich, if you're able-bodied, if you're white, if you're Christian in the United States, like this is what privilege is. It's like you're just more comfortable within the system. And the issue is that at any moment, at any time, this is what disabled people know, this is what black and brown people know, like at any time you can get knocked out of being on the side of the white supremacist capitalist heteropatriarchy, especially in regards to the capitalist part. So like you get hurt on the job, you get an illness or injury, you have to take time off because you get, a family member gets sick, or you lose your job and you're unemployed, or a global pandemic happens, and what the fuck are you supposed to do now? And one of the big ways that everyone falls out of favor with the white supremacist capitalist heteropatriarchy, especially the capitalist part, is by getting older. In my lifetime, I feel like I've seen a shift that's gotten worse. Like even in my 34 years, I've seen some things happen that are really fucked up. Like when I was young, my grandpa was like part of a union. Like it almost seemed like the elders in the business were, they had worked their way up. Like there was a certain amount of authority or like reverence that came with them, and companies had a certain amount of like stake or investment in giving back to these people who've given their whole lives basically to the company. That's not to say that it was like flawless or true across the board or whatever. I'm just saying that in my lifetime it's gotten worse. So there was just more of an energy of that, although I don't think that was like the rule. I think that capitalism has always been garbage, but as we have headed towards late stage capitalism in my lifetime, I've seen things really shift towards the evil, the amoral, the unjustifiable, I mean, look at climate change. So I know and have heard of and have people who know a lot of older people who are of retirement age who their companies laid them off right before they could retire, right? They're saying like you're irrelevant, you no longer contribute, you're not valuable, you're replaceable, and like we don't want to be responsible for you for the rest of your life, even though you've given us all your precious unrefundable time. And that's incredibly fucked up, but that's a good microcosm of what I'm talking about here, which is that our society, this capitalist system that we live under, does not value older people. And I really think that is the driving force behind the seemingly vain resistance to aging. I talk about it in terms of like, if you think of it evolutionarily, like, survivalist homesteaders, they understand this, that like your body is your tool, your body is your key to survival. If you can't build, if you can't chop wood, if you can't harvest food, if you can't tend the crops, if you can't move to take care of yourself, then you're pretty much fucked. And so I think there is like an evolutionary resistance to getting older that makes a lot of sense to me. But I think from a modern standpoint, it's like these actresses and actors, why did I just gender that? These famous people, influencers, influencettes, to unnecessarily gender something else. They resist getting older because you're not marketable anymore. You're not fuckable anymore. You're not hot. You're not good looking. Like if you have wrinkles, you're suddenly ugly. If you put on weight, there's like all these stipulations which threaten their tenuous grasp on their audience, on their success, on their ability to work and keep making money, which if you think about it is pretty similar to that survival evolutionary fear of aging. And there's also the existential part of it, right? Which is that like you're afraid of dying. Like we don't want to die. And as we get older, you can't help but think this means that I'm closer to death. Although, as my most recent lovely Uber driver pointed out to me, we could die at any time. So like that's an illusion, but you get the point. So all that just to explain like where I think it comes from, that I totally understand it and I have experienced it myself. Being 34, I started noticing signs of aging at like 26, which I feel like is pretty lucky. Like that's later than some. Probably because I've never smoked a cigarette in my life, but I have drank a lot, so I don't know. I think weed keeps you young, but that's just my theory. It also does that to you. So it's not to say that I haven't experienced it, that I think I'm better than anyone who resists aging through like Botox and fillers and stuff like that, or anyone who like really invests in the cream. I'm a fucking Libra. I invested in the cream, okay? And that's why I think I feel like qualified to talk about it, because I do have some vanity in me. I am a Libra. And it takes a lot of effort for me to come to a place of surrender with it, and to constantly work on feeling the feelings that come up, and just like not taking the moments of panic of seeing a new wrinkle on my face, of feeling my tits sag, of like the cellulite that's appearing, these like spider veins. I got fucking spider veins all over me. It's a nightmare. The hairs on my chin, it's just like happening, people. And every time I find something new, I really do have a moment of panic. I have a moment of shame, embarrassment. I have a moment of feeling, sometimes many moments in a row, of feeling like undesirable, of feeling like, oh shit, my time is over, of thinking I'm too old to do this, I'm too old to do that, I should give up on my dreams because I'm so fucking old now. And then I ride it out, I feel the feeling to its conclusion, which is part of the process. I take it seriously, I'm like, it's just like a kid throwing a tantrum, you're like, I see that you're angry, I see that you're upset, I'm gonna let you have a moment, and when you're finished, when you're calm, we can talk. And that's what I do to myself, because I am in the process of reparenting myself. So part of being a good parent is like understanding that shit is not about you, and that you're the adult in the room. You should remain calm and steady, and unconditionally positively regarding that person who's slipping the fuck out. And so I wait patiently for myself to get over it, and then I accept, then I'm like, I got some new shit on my body. My body's showing signs of age. My body's showing signs of the things that we've done together. The dancing on tour on a broken ankle, the hurt hip from sitting on my yoga mat for 8 hours at a time during my first spiritual awakening. My broken finger from softball that never healed right, my jaw that pops out of place from a childhood injury, like my carpal tunnel from being an influencer. It's all there, it's the story of my lifetime. And, I think about it in terms of like getting tattoos. Like, to me, tattoos are so beautiful because they mark moments in my life, and they make me appreciate that spot on my body, and they make me feel, as a sexual assault survivor, like I, have some ownership over my body, and as if I've like claimed a stake on it. This is mine now. I can do to it what I want, basically, in a positive way. I do the loving thing. But, yeah, that's all aging is, right? It's like a map to a life. It's a physical manifestation of years lived, time put in on this earth. And I think that's where getting back to a more ancient, not ancient also, like a tribes still exist, but a tribal sort of communal, spiritual view of aging, which is that like I'm gaining wisdom, I'm gaining stories, I'm gaining experiences, I'm becoming more mature, more stable, more whole, more healthy. I'm becoming more moderate in like, I don't go to the extreme of anything anymore. I was thinking today, like, I used to be such a fucking slut, in like the best way. I had an incredible time. Highly recommend, if you're interested at all in the slut life hashtag, do it. No shame here, no regrets. And this is no shade to anyone who's my age or older who's like still slutting it up, because I think there comes a time, many times in our lives, where that is what we need, and it's fun as fuck and liberating as fuck. And also, like, you're just out there, like, heart open, doing your fucking thing, and it's great. But as I've gotten older, my eye has stopped wandering. I've become like a man of commitment. I am committed to commitment at Fraser Crane. And I can't believe it. Like, I never thought I would be like this. I never thought I would be so deeply uninterested in pursuing multiple people at once. And it's kind of beautiful. It's like a beautiful transformation, but that's only come because I have been like healing and growing, because I went out and had those experiences, because I lived that life, and now I don't have to wonder. I did it, And again, please don't get mad. Don't at me. I'm not saying anything bad. I'm not saying that there's any expiration date on literally anything, as long as you're not hurting anyone. Like, do you. I plan on wearing crop tops and hot pants until I'm dead. Like, bury me in a crop top. Speaking of, you can buy this from my store on my website, brittcannon.me. It says Status Quo Heathen. It's a line from my song Walk On, which you can also stream anywhere. Yeah, so all that to say, like, there is a grace with getting older. There is a wisdom, a spiritual depth. There's a lot of value. It's just not stuff that we value under capitalism. And being as my whole mission in life seems to be undermining capitalism at every turn, I'm gonna value it, okay? And I'm gonna expect and encourage people to value it in me as I get older. Look at Dr. Maya Angelou, a life-changing person till the day she died, an angel on earth, a beacon of light, like a goddess. She didn't lose any of that because she got older. Hell no, she had it more than ever, and that's what I'm aiming for, you know what I mean? So as far as physically aging and how to do that gracefully, I just think it's really important to understand that each decade of life has ups and downs and upsides and downsides. positives and negatives. Everything does. Everything ever does. Even like your wildest dreams, your best case scenarios, it probably has some drawbacks, some resistance, some, contrast that you hadn't thought out, that you haven't thought of. It's just like people who like dream of being famous. I want to be famous. I want to be famous. I want to have 1 million fans. I want to live the good life. And then they're lonely. They get it and they're lonely because everyone around them is a fucking sycophant who yeses them to death, and they can't tell who their real friends are because they can't tell who's just using them. And so they're lonely, every thing, every experience has a negative side. And that negative side is almost always trying to teach us something, almost always trying to shape us into a person who lives in gratitude, who lives in grace, who is growing more loving every day, who's growing more aware every day, who understands that happiness and love and care and gratitude and all that, everything good about being human comes from within. We have it within us already. And everything is trying to guide us towards that. And unfortunately, because we have egos, we need to experience discomfort or contrast in order to grow and change. If everything was great all the time, we would all stay exactly the same. I said this about abusive relationships. If they didn't hurt so goddamn much, no one would leave them. You'd stay with that intense, exciting, sometimes hyper romantic person forever, right? But it hurts, and that's why you get out. So each decade carries positives and drawbacks. Your 20s are about exploration, about living, about making mistakes, about feeling lonely, understanding and learning how to be alone, learning your boundaries. I feel like the first half is like recognizing that shit was not perfect in your life, and then the last half is like healing that shit that you recognized. And then you get into your 30s and it's about being like giving less fucks and being more settled and feeling more mature, not feeling like a kid anymore, like starting to feel like a grown-up, especially if you're a millennial, because we had that like extended adolescence. And then I imagine your 40s are even more of that. I've heard many people say, people who have been healing, people who have been confronting themselves and unpacking all this, they all say that their 40s is like their greatest decade, their favorite time in life. So I'm looking forward to that. Right now, smack dab in the middle of my 30s, I'm having a great time. My life is better than it's ever been. And if that means I am better than I've ever been, I can't believe the dreams that I've made come true for myself. I can't believe the love I have in my life, the love that I used to ache for and pray for and mourn because I didn't have, the distance I've gotten from all the abusive situations I've been in, the way that I take care of myself, the way that I am taken care of. I'm just I'm me. I'm just more the core of me. I'm more the best version of me. And I'm no longer afraid of the trials and tribulations it will take to continue becoming the best version of me. And that's amazing. That's worth a few wrinkles, if you ask me. That's worth a titty sag or two. Definitely two. So I thank you so much for watching. I hope that you'll check out the full episode. The link is down below. Follow me on Instagram at Brit_that's_it, or the Walk On podcast page, which is walkon_pod. You can visit my website to buy this shirt. You can also buy my book, Fly to the Final Girl, about those initial years of being traumatized, told through the lens of horror movies, which I love. And if you have questions, comments, concerns, suggestions for future episodes, want to be interviewed, I don't know, you can email me at walkonmychild@gmail.com. Thank you so much for checking this out. I'll talk to you soon. Happy healing. Bye.